Good morning, students.
Good morning, Mom.
How are you?
I'm fine, Mom. Thank you. And you?
I'm very well, thank you. So let me check your attendance first. Is there anyone absent today?
No, Mom.
No?
No.
Okay. Last week you have learned about the example of biodiversity levels, right?
Yes, Mom.
Okay. After you learn the example of biodiversity levels, now we are going to learn about the differences of biodiversity levels. Did you still remember what biodiversity is?
Yes, Mom. Biodiversity refers to the variety and variability of life on Earth.
Yes, good answer. Biodiversity is variety and variability of life on Earth. Biodiversity also has three different levels. There are gen, species, ecosystem, diversity.
Yes.
Okay, now please take a look on PowerPoint slide. Okay. Now, biodiversity. So, the differences of three levels of biodiversity. As we know, biodiversity refers to the variety and variability of life on Earth. For example, from one-cell creatures to multi-cell creatures, and the level of organization of individual lives up to the level of complex interaction. For example, from species to ecosystem. There are three levels of biodiversity. There are gen, species, and ecosystem. In this case, we should have known the three different of this level, include the example of each biodiversity levels. Okay, first, gen diversity. Gen diversity is a hereditary material in a chromosome that controls of the living things characteristic. Gen has a different arrangement, but it has the same body. That is what we call genotype and phenotype. Genotype is represented the type of gen living things. And how about the phenotype? Phenotype is represented the characteristic of gen that is visible. In addition, this biodiversity is based on differences in color, size, shape, number, texture, appearance, and other slightly different properties. And how about the example? This is Musa paradisiaca L. Kepok matang banana, Agung semeru muda banana, Raja serah muda banana, Raja matang banana. And next, this is Oryza sativa, or we can call it in Bahasa is
Padi.
yes. This is Oryza sativa, Far inicha, Far marrow, Far impara, and this is Padi rice. Next, this is Berum, Sengit, and the other fragrant brown rice. And next, this is Varietas Master Sweet, or we can call it as Zea maize. Usually we found in our environment, and we can call it as
Jagung.
yes, jagung. And this is bicolor sweet, BC sweet, glutinous corn. And next, this is Saprinus carpio. Do you know what kind of fish it is?
Yes.
This is koi. Yes, this is koi kohaku, koi showa sanshoku, and koi tancho. And next, this is Columba livia, or we can call it in Bahasa is yes. This is priest pigeon, police lynx pigeon, sand pigeon, and high flyer pigeon. Next, this is Panthera leo and kingdom Animalia. It is also kingdom Animalia, and this is also kingdom Animalia. and this is Animalia. And second, this is species diversity. Species diversity is a basic unit of classification and is defined as a group of similar organisms that met and produce offspring with one another and thus share a common lineage. A living thing such as plants and animals is a part of species. In addition, this species is resulting in variation within one genus. So, and the example, this is Musa sp. First, Musa acuminate and Musa balbasiana. This is Musa sapientum, Musa chotinea. And next, this is Oriza sp. Or we can call it as yes. This is Oriza glaberrima, and this is Oriza branchianta. And next, this is Oriza australensis, and this is Oriza barti. This is Zia sp. This is the same as the previous, and we can call it as
Jagung.
yes. This is Zia diplorenis, and this is Zia perennis, Zia luxurians, and this is Zia mais. And this is Gallus sp. Usually we found in our environment, and we can call it as
Ayam jago.
yes. This is Gallus sonereti, Gallus gallus, Gallus bankiva, and Gallus lafayette. So the third is ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem diversity shows the existence of various species that have different adaptability to their environment, thus forming different ecosystems. It can be described for a specific geographical region or a political entity such as a country or a state. Ecosystem can be a large variety on Earth. In ecosystem, interaction between organisms are determined by biotic component, and chemistry component. This is the example of ecosystem. Coastal ecosystem dominated by the Pescara Formation and the Barringtonia Formation, and meadow ecosystem dominated by grass plants, and desert ecosystem dominated by cactus plants, and tropical rainforest ecosystem that is overgrown within a variety of trees, especially epiphytic plants and lianas plants. And then this is the video of biodiversity levels. Please give your attention.
Hi, I'm Emerald Robinson, and in this What Is video, we're going to examine the Earth's wide variety of organisms through a concept called biodiversity. Biodiversity, short for biological diversity, simply means that all life is different. The Earth is home to organisms that have different genes, live in different habitats, and function in different ecosystems. Scientists study three main types of biodiversity: species, genetic, and ecosystem. A species is a group of genetically distinct organisms that can have offspring. To date, over 1.7 million species have been named, and new kinds of plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms are being discovered all the time. Scientists have predicted that there are between 3 and 30 million species on Earth. Genetic biodiversity means that the genes within a species vary. For example, all dogs belong to the same species, but there are many different breeds
that is the differences of biodiversity levels. Okay. Usually, there are also some vocabularies or terminologies that is really familiar, right? Okay, so this is the terminology. There are some terminologies such as biodiversity, gene diversity, species diversity, ecosystem diversity, genotype, phenotype, and so on. Now, students, please repeat after me.
Yes, ma'am.
Biodiversity,
Biodiversity,
gene diversity,
gene diversity,
species diversity,
species diversity,
ecosystem diversity,
ecosystem diversity,
genotype,
genotype,
phenotype,
phenotype,
coastal ecosystem,
coastal ecosystem,
desert ecosystem,
desert ecosystem,
ZMAs,
ZMAs,
musa,
musa,
meadow,
meadow,
biotic,
biotic,
abiotic,
abiotic,
gallus,
gallus,
and division.
and division.
Okay. Usually, this terminology can create a report text. Did you still remember what report text is?
Yes, ma'am.
Report text is describing something in general, not specific participant. There are also two generic structures, that is general classification and description. And this is the example of report text. Biodiversity refers to the variety and variability of life on Earth. As we know, there are three levels of biodiversity in Indonesia. There are genes, species, and ecosystem. They have different characteristics of each levels. We can find them everywhere, especially in our environment. They also have a different example. First, gene is living things characteristic with different arrangement but has somebody. For example, Cyprinus carpio. Some variation, Koi kohaku, Koi showa sanshoku, and Koi kancho. Then it is different with species. Species is blah 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 and so on. So, we have learned about the differences of biodiversity levels, right? So now, do you understand, student?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now please take a look to this question. What are the differences of each levels? Please explain in short that differences. Okay?
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I'll give you 7 minutes to think individually. Do it now. Okay, now please make a group in pairs and discuss your result together with your friend. Okay, now please present your result to the whole class discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Gene diversity is a hereditary material in a chromosome that controls of the living things characteristic. For example, Musa paradica L or pisang. It is different than species diversity. Species diversity is a basic unit of classification and is defined as a group of similar organisms. For example, Oriza sp or padi. However, ecosystem also different than gen and species. Ecosystem diversity shows the existence of various species that have different adaptability to their environment. For example, desert ecosystem that is dominated by cactus plant.
Okay, give applause to your friend. Okay, you mentioned the example of gen is pisang, or we can call it as banana. And for species, you mentioned the example of paddy, or we can call it as rice. So, now what we have learned is about the differences of biodiversity levels. Do you get my point, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any question?
Yes, ma'am. So actually, in this life on Earth, we have 3 lives, ma'am.
Yes, actually, biodiversity has 3 levels different. First, gen diversity, and species diversity, and also ecosystem diversity, but they have a different characteristic. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now please take a look to this homework. This is for your homework. Answer the following question. What are the differences of 3 different levels of biodiversity? And write a report text based on the differences of biodiversity levels. Is there any question related to the assignment?
Yes, ma'am.
No? No question?
No.
Oh, okay. So,